Good evening, and welcome along to the big show here on NVTV. Hope we find you well this evening. What's coming up on the show?
Well, Mary Coughlan is going to be talking to us about her brand new album, Robin.
We'll also be finding out about the rise in car crime at the moment. We'll be chatting to Rowlands from Go Compare, and reformed burglar turned security expert Michael Fraser. We'll be chatting to them very shortly.
And Andrew Kane is going to be telling us about his new project, his new music project, Jamok.
But starting things off, some live music and something recorded very specially for the big show. The country rock band The Rising are back with a brand new single. It's called Better Than This. Here they are.
Hi everybody, we're The Rising, and we would like to thank Robin for having us on. We're going to sing our new single, Better Than This, and we hope you enjoy it. It's out on all streaming platforms now. She works part-time at a coffee shop. She's got bills to pay, but no coins in the jar. And at the end of the night, she'll flirt her way to the bar. It's gotta get better than this. Now she'll go out every weekend with her guitar, and she'll be chasing her dreams in some dead-end bar. And she'll try, but she won't get too far. It's gotta get better than this. Oh, take a deep breath and dive right in. Oh, open up your heart and just let it begin. You can fight it, don't stop trying. You can show them you can fly. Oh, you can pick your dreams up off the ground, 'cause it gets better than this. Hey, 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 it gets better than this. Hey, hey, hey. Now he's got loads of money, but he ain't got a clue, and he'll spend it on his friends because they tell him to. And when he goes home, he'll cry alone in his room. It's gotta get better than this. His daddy's forcing him to go and find a new job, so he makes his way down to the coffee shop. And he'll try, but he won't make the cut. It's gotta get better than this. Oh, take a deep breath and dive right in. Oh, open up your heart and just let it begin. You can fight it, don't stop trying. You can show them you can fly. Oh, you can pick your dreams up off the ground, 'cause it gets better than this. Hey, 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 it gets better than this. Hey, hey, hey. She was getting ready to chase her dream, and then she bumped into him along the same street. And they'll try, and soon they'll see it's gonna get better than this. Oh yeah, it's gonna get better than this. Oh yeah, yeah, it's gotta get better than this. Oh, take a deep breath and dive right in. Oh, open up your heart and just let it begin. You can fight it, don't stop trying. You can show them you can fly. Oh, you can pick your dreams up off the ground, 'cause it gets better than this. Hey, 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 it gets better than this. Oh yeah, it's gonna get better than this. It's gonna get better than this. It's gonna get better than this.
And that was The Rising, Better Than This.
And later on we'll have some live music from Mary Coughlan as well. But right now we're going to talk about car crime, and we've been joined on the line by Ian Rowlands from Go Compare, and also Michael Fraser, who's a reformed burglar who now runs his own security company. Guys, thank you for joining us on the big show. So during the whole lockdown period, crime rates fell, but now that things have eased up a little bit, the crime rates are back up again. And in a recent study, Ian, people have said that one of the things they're most worried about is car crime. Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely right, Robin. Yeah, we're seeing surveys tell us that people are really worried about car crime. Actually, 2/3 of British people are concerned that car crime is on the rise. And it certainly is. In fact, it's been going up for some time, lockdown being no exception to that.
Now, these days, car thieves tend to have more calculated and innovative ways to break into cars, don't they?
There certainly are, and increasingly what we're seeing is a significant rise in keyless car crime, where people are cloning the key fobs, and this is something that a lot of people are really unaware of, and they're very unaware of how to prevent it as well, sadly.
Now, we've also got Michael Fraser on the line. Michael, welcome. Now, you're a security expert who's giving tips on how to prevent car crime and car theft. But that hasn't always been the case, has it? Because you once led a life of crime, didn't you?
Yes, I grew up in care, children's homes. I'm not using it as an excuse, but peer pressure said you either joined the gang or you were isolated and bullied. So you had to be a part of the gang. And what we used to do is go out, break into houses, flats, cars, pinch cars. And obviously the more you do, the more you get into it and more confident. And you start looking at what the general public do as making mistakes. You pick up on that, and you become more sophisticated in what you're doing, even though you are just an opportunist.
So how did you get where you are today and become this security expert?
What happened was I had a care order on me, which actually protects me a lot. But at the age of 17, I actually got arrested for receiving stolen goods, and my social worker said, "You're on your way to prison." Even though I'd grown up in institutions, I knew prison was totally different. I was terrified, and I mean terrified. I went out to try and get a job, even though I'm dyslexic, I've got everything going against me, and I managed to persuade someone to take me on. And cutting a long story short, by the age of 21, I'd set up my own company. 25% of the staff were ex-offenders, and I became a millionaire. That in itself became quite a good story that television wanted to know about, and papers, and that's where I'd got to in life.
So, Michael, tell us about some of the steps that people can take to prevent car crime. Obviously, things have become more advanced now, and there's keyless car crime, and there's key cloning as well, which are things that people don't really know a lot about. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I'm passionate about anything to do with security. It frustrates me that people don't think about their own security. What you've got to look at is 99% of us will parallel park a car. If you turn your wheels into the curb or towards the next car, you're actually making it harder to remove that car. Yeah. So if people did this, not leaving the car untidy inside, keep it really tidy. If you've got a portable phone or satellite navigation, you stick it on the window, clean where the sucker is, clean it off after, and it's generally keeping your car safe. Your keys can go into a pouch which isolates the emitting the signal. All these little things are fantastic, and it also helps your insurance, because your insurance company is happy that you're actually doing something positive about protecting your property.
So, Michael, I heard recently that a couple were sitting watching TV. The door was unlocked at the front. The car thief walked in through the front door, lifted the keys off the hall table, walked out and drove off with the car.
Yeah, what we find, we're creatures of habit, and you find a lot of people will leave their keys just inside the front door so they know where they are, or in a handbag on the stairs, or in the kitchen. It's all about protecting your property. And this is, look, I'm passionate about it. That's why I'm working with Go Compare on this. Yeah. But what you've got to look at, when you go home, in your kitchen, 99% of us have a calendar put up on the wall facing the kitchen window, telling the burglar what dates were out, leaving keys in obvious places where anybody can pick up. And we're not talking about the professional, we're talking about the opportunist. And just as your story goes, somebody just walks in an open door, picks up the keys and drives off in the vehicle. Now, I'm no expert, and I don't know whether Ian can answer this, but how would your insurance look at what you're doing about protecting your own property? Leaving a door slightly open with the keys there doesn't sound very clever to me, and I'm one of these people who believes in any sort of security is better than none, because the opportunist will move on.
Okay, well, let's bring Ian into this. Ian, what are your thoughts?
Michael's absolutely right. I mean, I think, fundamentally, all our insurance companies, that we deal with will tell you that, that it's all about fault. And so, if you can be proved to be the person at fault for that insurance claim, then, you are going to see the consequences of that. And, sadly, the more you can do to prevent that theft in the first place, frankly, the better for you, because if you are the victim of car theft, and even if you can make a claim, the chances are your insurance policy will significantly jump up the following year.
And of course, one of the most worrying things for victims of car crime is the fact that their insurance after is going to go sky high, isn't it?
It does. Research that we've conducted shows that in the year after your car's been stolen, for example, your insurance will increase on average by about £600. And so, whether you're at fault or not, frankly, it's a significant cost.
Michael, I'm going to come back to you to finish off with. Is there any tips you can give us to help us prevent a car crime? I've seen recently as well some cars parked in car parks, and because of the good weather, people are actually leaving their windows down a little bit as well. Surely that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And this is what's so frustrating for me. I always say, look at your own vehicle. Imagine you've lost your keys. How would you get into that vehicle? You know that car anyway. But if we all thought, and people have a go at me about this, but if we all thought like the opportunist, you'd be amazed at what precautions you would take to protect your property. And you've got to remember, car crime, house crime, any sort of burglary, they're all opportunists. Yeah. And they're looking for that opportunity that you're going to lapse on. Somebody in a rush doesn't think about security. But it's amazing what Ian said. You look at that, a £600 increase on your insurance if you're not thinking straight. So it's not about being in a rush. We all are. But if we just took that little bit of time to look at some security, how much would crime come down? And you've got to remember, this goes on all our insurances. So it's down to all of us to protect our properties.
Okay, Michael and Ian, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now for some music. Mary Coughlan has a brand new album out called Life Stories, and her latest single is called Two Breaking Into One.
Now we're sitting across the room. Look at me and look at you. Is there nothing you can say to give me reason why you felt the need to turn your back and do the deed? Now you got the nerve to beg me, don't leave me here. What was I thinking of? Love, love. Now we're two breaking into one, breaking up 1,000 days into 1,000 ways to run me through. Look at what you've done, carving up your next of kin in spite of everything we've been through. How could you? How could you? Is it really happening here? Do you want me? Do you care? Am I just someone to wear to make you feel someone? I didn't fit as Mrs. You, you didn't fit as Mr. Me. I'm wedding dressed up like a queen. I was dreaming on. What was I thinking of? Love, love. Now we're two breaking into one, breaking up 1,000 days into 1,000 blades to run me through. Look at what you've done, carving up your next of kin in spite of everything we've been through. How could you? How could you? What was I thinking of? Love, love. Now we're two breaking into one, breaking up 1,000 days into 1,000 blades to run me through. Look at what you've done, carving up your next of kin in spite of everything. How could you break us into one? How could you even talk of love? Now we're broken, I'm better on my own. Now we're broken, I'm taking back control. Now we're two breaking into one, breaking into.
So there we go, current single from Mary Coughlan, taken from her brand new album Life Stories, and that performance was recorded during one of her great Facebook live sessions recently. Now, Mary was in Belfast. We caught up with her at the Crumlin Road Gaol. She's got a live gig coming up there in November, and here's what happened when we met the lady herself, Mary Coughlan. So Mary, good to see you in Belfast today at the Crumlin Road Gaol. Are you looking forward to playing the gig here in November?
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I've never done the tour, but I was downstairs earlier this morning. It's a scary place. I was down in the tunnel that leads across the road.
Oh, wow.
But the first woman that I saw, curiously, when I was coming up, there's some framed photographs. Her name is Mary Doherty, which is my name.
Right.
I was married to Coughlan. My name is Mary Doherty. My granny's from Donegal.
Wow.
My father's from Donegal. So that was really weird. Wow. I'm going down now to have my picture taken beside her.
Oh, brilliant.
She's far better looking than me.
So what about your family? I'm glad you mentioned that, because the first song that you did in there today was called Family Life, which is from the new album. What was your family like? I mean, was it a big musical family?
My father liked Bridie Gallagher, and my mother liked Guy Mitchell and Elvis and Cliff Richard. So I was born in the middle of I'm born in 1956. My mother had two younger brothers, and one of them liked Elvis and one of them liked the Beatles. So no, there was nobody that Mammy sang everywhere she went. She would sing in the car a lot. And my father had Bridie Gallagher records and Ruby Murray records.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course, it's from
Well,
Belfast.
Daddy's from Donegal. And one of the first concerts I ever did here, because I had mentioned Bridie Gallagher in interviews and the Homes of Donegal, I sang it at his funeral. She actually sent me flowers to the Europa Hotel.
Wow.
She heard me on the radio. Wasn't that nice?
That's amazing.
Daddy was delighted. I couldn't believe it.
So tell us about the new album, Life Stories. Obviously, it's all about your life.
Yeah.
There've been a lot of dark times in your life as well. So when you're putting the album together, did it bring up lots of bad memories?
Well, I've been doing therapy for I'm 26 years off the jar now. I had to slip about 16 or 17 years ago with the drugs. It was brief enough, and so I've kept on doing various kinds of therapy, and the last kind of therapy I think I really wanted to do was regression therapy. So it regressed me back into areas of my life that I had kind of just frozen over, you know. And so I wrote a play after that called Woman Undone, and it was very successful. It was it was sung. It was all sung by 5 female women. 4 of the other women, and it played all the male parts of my life. And I wrote the score with an Icelandic composer called Valgeir Sigurdsson. He'd worked with Björk and Sigur Rós. So it's very operatic and very modern, very monotonal singing. And so that should have been on the road all over Scandinavia this summer.
Oh, right.
We'd been booked in to do theatre festivals in June, and we were going to go around Ireland in May, but it had its run in Dublin last year. And so a lot of what I'd been doing in therapy came out then. So I dealt with all the really, really dark stuff in that. So I knew I was going to be 64, like obviously, hopefully I am 64 now. So in 2018, I phoned Pete Lannister, who did the biggest successes I've ever done, like Invisible and Man of the World. I said, we want to do an album. So it's actually a lighter album, looking back on stuff,
Right.
whereas the Woman Undone and the Scars on the Calendar album, they were like in the thick of it, you know, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I was able to look back on them without... I mean, you always revisit them when you're singing them, even today, especially after seeing that woman downstairs.
Yeah.
I start thinking about my family life, and
So what else can we expect from the album then?
the new single is gone. The new single, we've had a single already because it was released in Dublin a month ago. It was called Two Breaking Into One, which is about my second marriage breakup. And the new song, which is coming out this month, is called High Heel Boots.
Right.
So it's all about pushing back the runners and putting on the boots one more time and going out and having a bit of, what we call it, a bit of crack.
Yes, yeah.
A bit of crack, yeah. So
Brilliant. Yeah, so it's about 35 years since the first album, 1985 I think it was,
tired
wasn't
and
it?
emotional.
Yeah.
35 years ago. I hadn't even ever sung in public at that stage. Went into a recording studio, and the album came out in December, and it was number 1 in January, and it was all over. That was it. It was, I think people at that time in Ireland were doing a lot of traditional stuff and a lot of folk singing. So it was just something that was completely different, that caught a few people's imagination, and started playing it on the radio.
Yeah.
The power of the radio in those days, and the Late Late Show.
Yes, yeah.
And, I mean, that was it. I never looked back.
So you,
In terms of work,
Yes.
ever since then.
yeah.
Been all over the world a million times, and brought my kids to Australia, New Zealand. They were in Scandinavia. They were tots, America. I was able to travel with them, so it was all good.
And of course, your own home in the Wicklow Mountains. We've seen you performing on Facebook Live with that fabulous backdrop.
I know, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I am doing another gig on Friday for the launch of the album, and just hoping that it'll be a nice evening. If not, we'll move into the house.
Yes, yeah.
We've all been almost isolating together, myself and the band, working on the songs, and we've all. I just missed singing so much. I have never been at home as long as I've been this year, in one, without ever going away anywhere.
Yeah. But if you want to be at home, I would imagine your house is the place to be.
My house is the place to be, and the Little Sugarloaf Mountain is the place to be. The walks are incredible, and it's a cool place to be. It's beautiful. So, and my grandchildren are beside me next door, and my daughter. So.
Lovely. So over the years, you must have seen lots of changes in the music industry here in Ireland.
Oh, stop. in the world, you know. I mean, we loved to hate record companies back in the day because they were always like, you know, ripping you off and writing these contracts that you could never escape from. And like, for instance, Warner Brothers owns everything I've ever recorded until about 50 years after I'm dead, I think. And they have in the universe, on any platform, they had that written into it, you know. Nobody could anyways look at. At the same time, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to go to Australia and sell at the Opera House, you know.
Yes, yeah.
So, and I can still do that, thankfully, and I probably will be able to do it, hopefully next year. But like I did some festivals in Australia, and I was supposed to do them again in March and April. I mean, I do them a lot, but they've gone to 2022. So, and I can go to Canada and just go to New York and do gigs. And if it wasn't for the work, but people had a different relationship with music. You found an artist, you bought the records, you went to a gig, and then you bought another record, and then you waited for another record. Like, that's the way I've worked all my life, you know, since Van Morrison, Leonard Cohen, you know, the Beatles albums. You buy them, you treasure them, you discuss them with your friends, and now it's just on your phone, you know. I mean, you know, I know we've moved on, but I know it's a silly old-fashioned thing to say, but it doesn't have the same. I know kids and my children. I have my youngest son is 23. He loves his music, and I go to a lot of. I went to see Kendrick Lamar with him last year, and I've been to see Eminem 3 or 4 times, 5 times. I love Eminem. Okay. There is. It's. I still like to make an album.
Yeah.
I have to make an album. I spend a lot of time, a year and a half, a lot of money. I love doing the cover. I love doing, you know, the whole writing the notes and writing the words down, so that everybody will, you know, do all that. And for somebody to just, you know, offer you 0.001 of a cent on Spotify it's beginning to really piss a lot of us off, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a good tool sometimes for you getting yourself out there, but not for me.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very lucky and very, very grateful because all the fans have been buying from my Facebook page and my website.
Oh, great!
Buying from me, and I write little pictures for them.
Oh, lovely!
I've done all these tiny little pictures that I used to do when I was a kid. During lockdown, I've done hundreds of them. Some days my hand, then I have to take a break, and then I start doing the envelopes. So if I notice that a place is in lockdown in Ireland or anything like Kildare, I put little hearts on it, you know, and, you know, so that's kind of, you know, it's kept me sane.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know, because so there you go.
The new album's out now, you've got the concerts coming up as well.
Yeah.
Are you always looking ahead to the future? Are you thinking about the next album?
Before I came here yesterday, I swung by the Arts Office and I put in an application for a new funding for a new theatre show that I'm working on. Yeah, I'm almost on to the next thing, but I have to do a year of these songs.
Yes,
I have to gig them.
Yeah.
So the 35 concerts that I had, which were, you know, from Galway to Glastonbury via Norway and Germany and April, they will hopefully go ahead next year. Some of them have gone into September next year.
Yeah.
And the first ones to be rescheduled, fingers crossed, are in April, in the UK, and a couple of nights in Ronnie Scott's, and then Shoreditch Theatre. And I'm doing here.
Well, exactly. We're looking forward to that.
November.
Yes, in November.
It was going to be October, but now it's November.
Yeah.
There comes a time in everyone's life when nothing seems to go your way, when nothing seems to turn out right. There may come a time you just can't seem to find your place, and for every door you open, it seems you get too slammed in your face. That's when you need someone is gone, and you just can't go on. Let it be me. Let it be me. When you just need someone, let it be me. It seems like I'm always coming up last. Pockets full of nothing, ain't got no cash. When you see I have no place to stand, I reach out for someone and they slap my hand. I remember all too well how it feels to be all alone. When you give anything, baby, just to have a happy home. That's when you need someone, someone that you can call when all your faith is gone and you just can't go on. Let it be me. Let it be me. When you just need someone, let it be me. Let it be me. Let it be me, baby, please. When you just need someone, let it be me.
Now, time to meet our final guest on the big show tonight. Andrew Kane is part of a brand new music project called Jamock. They've just released their debut single, which is out now. It's called Cadman. We're going to find out more because Andrew joins us on the line. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So tell us about this new music project. The debut single has just been released. How did all this come about?
So, Culture Day last year, me and Jim Johnson were sitting in Boys Park and got chatting. I had just released my debut album of covers, and Jealous Guys on there. There's a wee bit of whistling. So he thought I'd be good for a whistling album that he had in mind. That was the original concept, but it didn't end up like that.
The first thing I noticed when I listened to it was the whistling, and there's not enough whistling on records these days, is there?
It's a bit of an earworm, and that was Sean McCauley, he's our producer. It was his bright idea to put in a very catchy chorus and have whistling in the intro.
It's almost like a throwback to Ennio Morricone, isn't it?
That's intentional. That is totally intentional. We see him as one of our influences. It's the kind of vibe we're trying to go for.
So we get the chance to see the video in just a second, and people will get a chance to see all the different influences in there. How did you come up with it? Because the sound is quite unusual, isn't it?
Again, that's down to Sean, so I think there's a wee bit of an organ sound in the background. It's sort of like Moby, and there's a grunge guitar. Basically, Sean is a magician. He puts it all together. He plays all the instruments, produces it, records it, mixes it. He's a very smart guy.
So what about the name Jamock? Where did that come from?
So Jim came up with that. The J''M is basically Jim, as in Jim Johnson, who's the lyricist. And the OK is taken from my surname, O'Kane. Most people call me A-OK.
And what about the title of the song, Adam Cadman?
So Adam Cadman is a character from Kabbalah. He's basically like the primordial man, the everyman.
So the single's out now. What's the plans for the future? Is there going to be an album to follow this?
There's an album of 11 tracks. 3 of them are already in the can. There'll be another one out late November. The video for it is also in the can. So between now and Easter, I think we'll have 3 songs released, working towards 11 songs in total. And that will be the Cosmic album.
So what about your background? Have you always been involved in music all your life?
On and off, just in choirs in a very informal way, a few worship teams, but nothing formally until a couple of years ago, really. Yeah. Turned 50 and got a few mad notions.
The new track is out now and it's getting a lot of interest, isn't it?
There's been good coverage on YouTube. I think between the teaser video and the actual video, we're up to about 500 views.
We're going to see the video in just a second. Tell us about the video. It's shot in black and white. How did all this come about?
It's black and white, which is a big part of our vibe. The seat I'm sitting in now is the seat I was sitting in when the video was filmed. So it was all done very low budget in my living room. It's just basically me singing to camera and chucking in a couple of Doctor Who references.
So we've talked about the new song. Shall we play it?
I think that would be lovely.
Would you like to introduce it yourself?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes the debut single from Jamak called Adam Cadman. Enjoy.
Of Adam Cadman, love has never been so tender. He shows love for every gender, shall form. The eyes of Adam Cadman need tears of fragile diamonds for all the simple Simon's wrapped warm, and we all fall down and all rise up again, and we all fall down and all rise up again. The heart of Adam Cadman, the accord beating endless, no one there is ever friendless or be gone. In the heart of Adam Cadman, every sin can be forgiven, every soul there can be shriven, one by one. And we all fall down and all rise up again. And we all fall down and all rise up again. unbroken, and the lies are all unspoken word by word. Heart of Adam Cadman, grown strong with craft and wisdom, blending age and youth. So listen, undeterred. And we all fall down and all rise up again. And we all fall down and all rise up again. And we all fall down and all rise up again. And we all fall down and all rise up again. The eyes of Adam Cadman, we see good in every bad man, while the eyes of every bad man rest on him.
And that was Adam Cadman, new song from Jamok.
So that's all we've time for on the big show this evening. So thank you for watching, and thank you to all the guests, and of course we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
See you then.